Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking all things tropical storm Nicholas because we have a lot to talk about with this one. We're also going to talk a little bit about the overall tropics, but Nicholas is going to be hitting later today, so I want to primarily focus on that one that could bring some major flooding to Texas and Louisiana. Alright, now before we get into things, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, what do you think is the maximum amount of rainfall that Nicholas is going to be bringing anywhere? Let me know in the comments down below what you think it is, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. First things first, we're taking a look at the overall Atlantic 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook, and as you can see, two of our 5 potential tropical cyclones have really dissipated. First off, that one that was in the main development region that had a pretty good chance of development actually has pretty much for the most part fallen apart. It's not even being listed here on the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook. I have seen tropical cyclones make a comeback after being dropped from the outlook before, but it is definitely not the highest probability of happening. We also have our one up there in near Europe that has not a very good chance of developing either. So that's what's going on now. Obviously, we have a code red, 60% chance plus they're offshore, or what is going to be offshore of Africa in the main development region. It is still onshore right now. That is usually how these tropical waves start. And then we have our one offshore of the East Coast, which is going to be happening. That is a code orange, which is 40 to 60% chance. Let's break these down individually. First off, this one offshore of Africa, or sorry, Europe, my bad. It is offshore of the northern coast of Africa, I guess, but Europe is a lot closer. It has a 0% chance of development. Why is it on here if it has a 0% chance of development? I don't really know. Usually they end up dropping these. Like I said, even the ones that get dropped have a chance of coming back, but I don't really understand the point of keeping one on there if it has a 0% chance of development, but regardless, whatever. What are we going to do about it? Here's the one offshore of the United States, 50% chance of development. I am a little worried about this one. We're going to be watching this. This could turn into a very interesting situation. By the way, I forgot to mention this. For Tropical Storm Nicholas, I am going to be going live briefly, and by briefly, I mean an hour or two, so it's not that brief, but I have a bit of time this morning, late this morning, where I'm going to be going live, giving you guys some live coverage for Tropical Storm Nicholas. That's going to be in the pinned comment and the description down below, so you can click the reminder button so that when that goes live, you can watch it if you'd like to. Be sure to check it out because I am going to be going live for a while, like I said. But with this East Coast one, we might do the same thing once this one is impacting some areas. I don't know. Here is our one in the main development region, and we're going to be watching this one especially closely because we have a 70% chance of development at this point for this one that is going to be offshore of Africa. Very interesting situation with that one. We're going to have to watch it closely, obviously. Here's the cone forecast for Tropical Storm Nicholas, and as you can see, it is going to hit Texas at some point, but it's just going to skirt right along the coast where it's already bringing impacts, and it will be bringing impacts for quite a while. And then it's going to kind of curve to the east there over Louisiana, bringing flooding throughout Texas, Louisiana, and even Mississippi, Alabama, potentially Florida and Georgia. All across the southeast and deep south could have flooding. Now, what we're going to do in a moment is move on and start talking about impact, storm surge, flooding risk, amount of rainfall, arrival time of winds, and probability of tropical storm winds. And then we're going to get into the modeled guidance, total gusts, and total rainfall. That's all coming up. All right, now here we are taking a look here at the peak storm surge. We generally expect anywhere from 2 to 4 feet to 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. Usually with these weaker storms, like tropical storms, we don't see as much of the storm surge, and that stays true here, which is good news. 3 to 5 seems to be the maximum expected storm surge. Again, expected because we can expect the unexpected sometimes. So keep in mind this could be worse or not as bad. Here's the flash flood risk. And as you can see, we actually have a high risk of flash floods. That's why I have the flooding risk on screen on your thumbnail for this video. We actually have a high risk of flooding. And as we move towards tomorrow, we're actually going to have a moderate risk throughout areas in Louisiana as well. So this one, even when it weakens down to a tropical depression and is over mainland, it's still going to have that flash flooding risk. There's a lot of precipitable water in this area, a lot of moisture in general. And this low pressure system, whether it's tropical or not, is going to bring a ton of rainfall. Speaking of rainfall, here's the total rainfall. Light greens is going to be 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. Dark greens is going to be 2 to 4. Yellow is going to be 4 to 6. orange is going to be 6 to 10, and then reds is going to be 10 to 15 inches of rainfall. So as you can see, that northern coast of Texas especially, we expect those areas of scattered in 10 to 6 inch amounts. Obviously a major amount of rainfall. I don't even need to tell you that. So that is definitely significant. 6 to 10 is already enough to cause some flooding issues for sure. And even 4 to 6 and 2 to 4, it just depends on your area. So we're going to be watching for the major risk of flooding, obviously, and major amounts of flooding in some spots potentially as well. Unfortunately, here's the most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds combined with the probability of tropical storm force winds as well. As you can see, by about 2 p.m. today, most likely a lot of those tropical storm force winds will be coming onshore, coming from south to north basically. And by 8 p.m., it'll be further up the coast. 2 a.m. tomorrow, well, basically tonight, it's going to be reaching some of the I would say western coast there of Louisiana as well as some pretty far inland spots there in Texas. Probability here, if you're in the green, you're under a 30% chance of tropical storm force winds. Yellows is going to be like your 50-50, or more specifically 30 to 70% chance. And then the reds is where we're at 70% plus chance of tropical storm force winds. So obviously right where that storm comes on shore is where the highest probability is going to be. Now what we're going to do is move on and start talking model guidance, total rainfall, and accumulated wind gusts in just a moment. Now, obviously, if you are concerned about that East Coast storm or any of the other ones, I will be updating you guys on that in separate videos, but I hope you guys understand that I need to talk about the most imminent threat today because it's hitting today. Here is the accumulated maximum wind gusts according to the European model. And this shows us kind of the entire model run's maximum wind gust at any given spot. It's a great tool so that I don't have to spend 5 minutes talking about wind gusts. I can just show you on screen what the maximum amount that is possible according to this model is. If you're in the blues, it's going to be minimal, under 34 mile per hour wind gusts. Nothing major, nothing even a nuisance. I don't even think that's enough to knock over anything. Greens is where we start to get stuff knocked over, some twigs, things like that, leaves all over the place. That's your 34 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. And you can see that's expected for a lot of the eastern third of Texas. But we do have those oranges to talk about, and that is where we have 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts expected, and that's where things become potentially damaging, obviously, throughout those orange and red regions, which is a lot of the Texas coast, even some far inland spots. Those browns is going to be 70 plus miles per hour, so we have 70 to 80 being picked up there for very exclusive regions where this storm is just hitting. And as I zoom this out, you can see Louisiana. We even have some of those greens pretty widespread in there, and even some oranges spotty, so you could get some nuisance wind type occurrences there with this storm as well. Total rainfall here, if you're in the blues or greens, it's nothing to worry about. It's going to be under an inch of rainfall. Yellows to reds is going to be your 1 to 5 inches of rainfall. So that's where we start to see some minor to moderate flooding possible in especially susceptible areas to flooding. Your browns is going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rainfall. So you can see that's widespread throughout the area where the storm tracks. You can see it heads in and through Texas where that storm tracks. It curves east with the storm, and it goes all the way through Louisiana and even Mississippi as well, actually. Those blues, that's where we're at 10 inches plus, and this model actually picks up on a maximum of 18 inches. So 15 inches plus is going to be possible with this storm, unfortunately. Here's the accumulated maximum wind gust according to the GFS model, and it's holding back a little bit more, which is good news. It's a lower resolution model, so we need to watch it closely, but the maximum this one has is 70, so it's hardly getting into those browns. It's mostly staying at the oranges and reds, which is enough to be damaging, but it's not quite as bad as the European, which is good news. And the rainfall is a little bit less too, but again, it is lower resolution, so we need to take it with a grain of salt. But those reds, again, is where we're at about 1 to 5 inches of rainfall, and that's mostly what we're dealing with here, widespread, which is enough, like I said, to cause minor flooding, even moderate flooding in some susceptible regions, but not too bad. The browns is mostly where I'm worried about 5 to 10 inches of rainfall. That's where pretty much everywhere is going to be at least moderately flooded out if you get that much rainfall, and that's a lot for kind of eastern Texas and southwestern Louisiana there. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're obviously at a 6 out of 6 because everything we've talked about today is happening today or tonight or even tomorrow morning. So we're feeling quite confident about what we're saying here. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, what NFL game are you most excited to watch? Because yesterday was kind of the opening Sunday for the NFL, and James Marr here said, I was excited to see the Patriots versus the Dolphins game because I live in Maine. We lost, but that's okay. I'm also a Patriots fan, so it obviously hurts a lot. The 2 fumbles It just seemed like we should have won that game, but multiple mistakes is what held us back, and that's always the games that hurt the worst. That fumble late really, really hurts, but it's so exciting to see Mac Jones playing good, their rookie quarterback. I mean, an amazing rookie game, no mistakes, and the loss had nothing to do with him, but a very good game. I think there's a lot to feel positive about for Patriots fans. Very interesting. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, John Bemenick, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Leonard the Pan, and Donna Carnes, alongside our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalesa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Flago, Gary, Sean Khaleesi, Dwight Phelan, and Stephen Kernenthal. If you'd like to join this exciting patron entry today, do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Hair Farms 1, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. This will be located next to the subscribe button if you want to join this one as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.